Welcome to this month Inside Sim Racing. I'm Darren Gadget with my good buddy
Sean Cole.
And this month Inside Sim Racing is sponsored by iRacing.com, and lots of great things going on at iRacing in the last couple of weeks. New build, we're going to talk about it at the end of the show. Lotus 49, Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve, Long Beach Tech Track, movable cones. We're going to talk about it all at the end of the show, but they got some great deals going on, and you can get one of the many deals that they have at our site at isrtv.com. Just click on one of the banners that you see, and you can get started in iRacing right away.
And first up on today's show goes back a few weeks in time, and this is actually the Toronto IndyCar race that went on, the Indy Grand Prix of Toronto, I think they call it.
You mean the one that we were supposed to go to?
We were supposed to go to that, and we had a little problem on our end, and it would be a little embarrassing if we told the whole story. But anyway, we didn't make the event, and it turns out a few pictures of the Honda booth. Honda was there. They had a fleet of full motion simulators, and a few random pictures and a little video showed up. And I mean, normally that would be no big thing. That's business as usual for an IndyCar event, except...
Well, it was Wyatt Gooden driving the sim, and it looks like some savvy sim racers saw this wheel that was there. And so, did you mention those were Sim Experience?
No, I don't think I mentioned that.
Sim Experience were the ones that had that fleet of simulators there, and those were the guys that invited us to go. And I'm going to apologize on camera here to Bernie for us not being able to make it. But so, speaking of Bernie, you reached out to him.
Yeah, well, so like you mentioned, some people had said, what is that wheel? And so I called Bernie and said, Bernie, we've seen these pictures, a video. I've never seen this wheel before. What's going on? And he confirmed, actually, that Sim Experience is not only making, but I mean, well into the stages of making their own wheel. And
obviously, they got a working prototype.
Yeah, one well enough to put in public. I mean, things get hammered at a Honda booth at a race like that. So, I mean, that's a tough environment to live. But anyway, he did acknowledge they're making the wheel, and that you can save your breath. I mean, don't bother calling them. They're not selling them. They're not quite there. I think we'll be the first to really get to try it out. But
well, Wyatt Gooden tried it out.
Well, first to show it to the world and try it out, I guess.
And a final version. That was, again, an early prototype or a prototype.
And I think that's where about he is in the development, somewhere between that and what would be ready for retail purchase. The other thing he did mention about the wheel, though, this wheel is just a different direction than pretty much anybody else ever gone before, and he's making some pretty big promises about what this wheel will do in comparison to any other wheel out on the market. Currently
only going to work for the PC. He doesn't have any plans for consoles, but that could change in the future. Who knows? Don't quote us on it, but right now it's going to be basically a high-end PC wheel.
When you think about it, you're talking about Sim Commander, the software that runs our Sim Vibe or the motion stuff, and all the parameters that thing's working with and being put into a wheel. I mean, this is pretty amazing stuff.
It is, it is. So really looking forward to getting our hands on early prototype, close to production, whatever it is. We're really looking forward to trying it out, and so showed you some footage of it in action there. So next up, and I'd like to thank Bernie for that footage, by the way. Next up, we have some stuff here that I'd like to thank, first of all, a guy named Anthony Chiarello. Sorry if I mispronounced your name there, bud. Who reached out to us and told us about some stuff that he had, basically some press material from racing legends from these guys called the West Brothers, or West Racing Ltd is what it says here on the back.
You realize this already goes back 11 years?
I'm actually pretty amazed. You know what? These guys, this material is dated 11 years ago.
Right.
We started hearing about these guys probably even earlier than that.
You're right, maybe 2-3 years earlier than that.
Yeah, and it was basically vaporware. It never happened. I mean, I can't say that it never happened because iterations of what these guys were working on, or maybe some of the code may have been implemented in some sim down the road.
And certainly some fancy marketing stuff existed. And you mentioned the word vaporware, but this is something that, I mean, I was following the press regarding the development of this game or sim, and I was so optimistic, but I had started hearing things that I had never heard before about a simulation, like pricing and $200, $300, $500 a year even. I was literally saving money in anticipation of this coming out.
And some of the things this is the concept. Racing Legends has been conceived and designed as a sophisticated racing simulation. We believe it will appeal to motor racing professionals and racing enthusiasts alike. All existing motor racing sims conform to a standard format. You have a choice from a set number of cars, set number of tracks, and the feature list is set. Racing Legends has no such limitations, so they had a unique way of trying to go about things. Some of the other things, incredible attention to detail, high quality, meticulous, detailed cars, state-of-the-art graphics. And then they were talking about some additional expansion packs.
DLC.
Rally Legends, Land Speed Legends, Drag Racing Legends, Hill Climb, advanced feature packs such as Damage and Dirt, Time of Day and Weather, Wind Tunnel, and Advanced Aerodynamics. So this was going to be a high-level PC sim.
Absolutely.
That never saw the light of day.
Well, and at the time, if you remember some of the pictures that came out, but some of the modeling they were doing was worlds ahead of anything else at the time. So, I mean, again, they never had to prove it on a track, so it could look one way. But anyway, it was an interesting time in sim racing, that's for sure.
It was, and they have a contact us. We'll scan all this stuff and show you applications and opportunities, racing schools. They talk about the expansion packs, cars and details, key features, the concept. So anyway, this was really cool to get our hands on this stuff. And you know what? I think we need to frame some of this stuff. Have a little Racing's Legends section here in the studio.
It deserves it.
It does. But I'd like to thank Anthony for reaching out to us and sending us this stuff. And if you guys know out there what happened to the West brothers, or in touch with them, or whatever, let us know, or have them get in touch. I mean, I'd love to do an Opinion Nation or have them on the show.
That'd be great. I tried to do some research, but it's so dated that you really can't find much out there.
So anyway, really cool to get our hands on that stuff, and thanks again to Anthony for reaching out. You know, I couldn't find where he reached out to me, whether it was on Facebook. I don't know, but I lost the information. It wasn't much. It was just him getting my address and telling me about it. So thanks again, Anthony. That was really cool.
And if you know him out there, let him know that we talked about this finally on the show.
Exactly.
So next up on today's show goes to Eutechnyx and NASCAR 2003. It's not really the inside line anymore.
You just went into a time warp, dude.
2013. Wow, I'm still back here in Legends mode.
Dude, you took a 10-year warp back to the best NASCAR game of all time,
Absolutely.
NASCAR 2003.
All right, well, we are going forward in time
Are
to
we doing
2013.
a retro on that? That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and there's been demand for that, actually. So, but we are talking about the most recent 2013 version of NASCAR.
You know what, before we get to that, I just want to give a shout out to some guys that asked to promote their NASCAR 2003 event that they're doing. Mm-hmm. They had a post. I let them post in our forums. I set up a section, but there's guys running NASCAR 2003 still.
Oh, absolutely.
10-plus-year-old sim.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
So
now can we go forward?
Now let's go forward.
NASCAR 2
You warped us. You put us in the time warp.
NASCAR 2013 by Eutechnyx, and this is the latest version, which it's sort of getting to be like any of these licensed titles, like a Madden franchise, but every year the biggest emphasis can be on new colors, new teams, new tracks maybe, new schedule, new sponsors, and that's what you're looking for in a lot of these, and that's included in this version, or you kind of think. But in this case, we're talking about it being out on the PC now.
Yep. Yeah, so it's NASCAR 2013 on the PC, and basically what they've done is taken the Inside Line game, the 2012 version, and ported it over to the PC, which it probably was developed on the PC to an extent, I would guess, and then added the DLC that's available for this year, new cars, tracks, not new tracks, but, and now
proper naming of the track, so you know the correct sponsor of each track this year.
Right, exactly. And then, but now you can run it on the PC through Steam. It's available through Steam, so you download it, and you can run it with all your PC peripherals on the PC, triple screen compatible.
Yeah, and I was actually using my Thrustmaster shifter as well. So I mean, you've got shifter or multiple controller support, triple screen support, and that is a big deal. I mean, at first, when I first heard this title, I thought, whatever. But then when I really wrapped my head around that, it's like, well, that's actually a huge step up. $39.99, by the way, for the PC version.
Yeah, and we're not going to do a full review. We've checked out our Inside Line review or our NASCAR The Game. It hasn't really changed much since then. Same, basically, the menu system as the Inside Line game.
You wouldn't even know it was a different variation if you hadn't played it in a while. I mean, it's identical.
Period.
Yeah, it's identical.
Be a brand new game for you. So pretty much matches up to the Inside Line game that we reviewed, except for it's got the updated stuff. So definitely worth checking out if you're into NASCAR and you want to get it on the PC. It's not a sim. This is not a racing sim. This is Simcade. This is right in the middle. It's simulating NASCAR. You can run long races and all that stuff, but lots of arcade elements in there too.
Well, and you can throw a lot of chrome horn in when you're racing. I mean, it kind of encourages that, the whole really strong draft effect, so it's very easy. But again, the other thing you mentioned, the console guys, they will use this as a DLC. So $24.99, and you can download that through the game, in-game, and
if you have
get
the
updated.
Xbox or the PC. PS3.
Exactly.
So that's going to wrap it up for the first half of the show and NASCAR 2013 on the PC. When we come back, got some iRacing news on their new build, 120 minutes of thunder, and a simrig of the month right after this.
Sound crashes over me. The crews, engines, crowd. The air is electric. Every rider burning to win. And each one pushing to the limit. But when I find that edge, when they all fall away, the silence is deafening. And I know at that moment that I am the one. MotoGP 13 out in June.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but it can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race. So you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
Welcome back to this month Inside Sim Racing. Darren Ganji here with Sean Cole. And first up, we have the Simrig of the Month. And this one's kind of near and dear to our hearts because it was inspired by our Deathmobile design. Your design, really. I may have contributed a little bit, but you came up with it.
I don't know if I can claim that to be some kind of original design. It was sort of, I think it was the common sense, handyman design.
Yeah. So this is a very elaborate version of the Deathmobile, though. This guy has really gone above and beyond. One of my favorite things about it is the finish that he's done to it.
Yeah.
Somebody said he needed to paint the hardware. I like it chromed out like this. I think it looks really cool.
The contrast is very nice, and you can tell he used really nice hardware as well. So it's like, hey, show it off then.
Yep. So he has attached a really nice racing seat, and he's built this rig to double as a flight sim because you can see the flight sim or flight stick and throttle quadrant areas are attached to it. And he runs a heavily modified Thrustmaster T500 with an adapter to run a real Momo wheel, which looks pretty cool.
Very cool. He's also modified the pedals of the T500 with what appears to be a secondary spring on the clutch pedal. Other modifications done to the rig are a touchpad screen mounted for an in-car display. And then to top off the rig, he has a custom-built sequential shifter that I think he modeled after a Frex sequential shifter, but it was a total DIY version, and it's his own design.
And this was posted on our forums by a guy named Alex B, and I'd like to thank Alex for posting his rig there and sharing his design. And if you'd like a sticker, Alex, email Sean at InsideSimRacing.tv and he will get you a bumper sticker for that heavily modified Deathmobile. And man, you know what? I think he wins the award for the baddest ass Deathmobile.
Absolutely. You know what's funny? When you picked this one out, and when I first started looking at it, it had the unfinished pictures, and I'm like, that is a really clean, nice looking Deathmobile. And then I think I said something to you, and you're like, no, keep scrolling to the bottom. Then I saw the blacked out version, and it was like, oh, now that is the king of all Deathmobiles.
For sure. Again, thanks, Alex, for posting those in our forum. And if you'd like to post your rig in our forum, go to isrtv.com/forums. Go to the simrig/cockpit section and post your pics or video. Video's even better.
Yeah.
The more you can give us, the merrier, and the better chance you have on getting on the show.
And the more we can talk about it.
Exactly. So next up, iRacing new build.
This was a huge
This
build.
is probably one of the biggest builds in iRacing history.
iRacing 3.0, I guess, now.
Man, they've really taken things to a new level in a lot of ways. Let's start with the new content.
Okay.
Lotus 49.
Yay. This is...
Yay! It's everybody to throw a party. Because everybody's been dying to get their hands on the Lotus 49 from the GPL days. I mean, these guys, the original guys that developed that car and that whole, man, I'd love to have all those cars. You know what? My favorite car from that era, the Ferrari.
Yeah.
I love driving the Ferrari.
It was so raunchy. Yeah. Raunchy is the word to describe that Ferrari.
But anyway, we're getting off subject. We've got the Lotus 49. Awesome. Man, that thing is a handful. Fifth gear, you're going down the straights and you're getting loose. Power oversteer.
Yeah, you think I was the Saw before? Now I'm the Saw.
For sure. The new tire model's also been added to the Skippy and the Street Stock. Skippy feels just really catchable now and just feeling really, really good.
I'm going to be honest, the Skippy was the car that made me feel the least competent as a driver. And with the new tire model, it has jumped up to one of my favorite cars in all sim racing to drive because of what you said. It's catchable and it just makes it fun to drive.
Yep. New tracks. Well, one fully new track, Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, or Montreal as it's referred to. It's kind of a street course, which is kind of cool. I mean, it's kind of a combined, it's within the city or whatever. I don't know if it's a closed course, but man, that's an awesome track. And then they've added the Tech Track Long Beach. If you're not familiar with that, they basically released this track for $5, and the surface and everything is there, like for the real track.
Everything you need to actually drive.
Right. But everything on the outside is like this wireframe laser scan, and part of the reason for this is because, and the reason why they haven't released this sooner is because of all the detail that goes into the outside of that track, and it's ever changing.
Right.
So, and it would have been a frame rate hog.
Yeah.
This is not a frame rate hog, and this allows you to drive on the track. If they get enough interest, they may finish it, but I'm good with it like it is.
And for me, they could just do a simplified version and call it done. I mean,
I want Wendell Springs.
That would be a great track to add as well. A few other changes to the latest build is the game now runs, the sim now runs on a Mac, which is, I mean, this is amazing. I mean, I never even knew they were going to go this direction.
Well, I mean, you could run it before with Boot Camp or whatever, which allows you to run the Windows operating system, but now
this is a Mac version of the game sim now.
Yeah, native Mac support, which is really cool. Oculus Rift.
Yeah, another form of support, and that's something we're going to have to try out one of these days.
So hopefully we'll get our hands on one of those. We've had a few offers to have somebody bring it over, so we want to check that out.
Another big one is collidable cones. So you now have moving trackside objects. Not everything, but cones. I mean, that's a big deal. There's no moving objects in iRacing prior to that.
Yep.
And then another thing that I want to talk about a little bit is the new weather effects that are in the game, and we're not talking rain.
No, but you got fog, wind, you can adjust the temperature, and none of the series races are gonna have weather, and you can do random, but the series, the official iRacing series, are all gonna be set at, I think it's 78 degrees with a certain relative humidity. I think you can adjust the relative humidity and fog levels, how dense and light the fog is. So,
and that's really going to come into play for the guys who are really good at doing those intricate setups, because I mean that weather differences, wind direction, speed, temperature really affects what the car's handling is going to be.
Yep. And lots of other new changes that you can see. We'll have the release notes at our forums. We'll have a link in our forums.
Pit macros.
Pit macros.
Macros, the ugly word macros.
Yeah, that's like a cheat word.
Is that cheating though if it's just to do your pit stuff?
Definitely not.
All right.
And a couple other things that they've add some variations to the tracks. Night bracing at South Boston, which I haven't tried yet. And I haven't tried this, but I got to now that I'm reading it again. Figure 8 at Irwindale. That's got to be crazy.
That's rednecking.
They gonna do official racing in that?
No, you couldn't do that.
Yeah, imagine your safety rating on that. I'd be coming to a stop coming at the
But if you ran in a league, a weekly league, wouldn't it be awesome to throw one of those in at the end of the season just for fun?
This is a separate question. Have you ever seen figure eight racing in real life?
I've never seen figure eight. I've seen the crash bump to pass.
No. But have you ever gone to a figure eight race at a track?
Not in person.
See, I grew up going to Saga Speedway and seeing figure eight racing.
Right.
And, as a kid, as a little kid, I'm out there going, we want them to crunch and crash in the middle of the track. And as you become an adult, you think, that was freaking nuts. And those guys some of them were coming to stop, but some of them were looking to win. They'd go blasting through that figure eight.
I've seen the ones on like ESPN where they're pulling trailers, and I've seen some crazy figure eight races. I'd be rooting for the crashes, but that's me.
Yep. So let's now transition to something where crashes are
frowned upon,
and you will not get a prize if you crash. And that's the 120 Minutes of Thunder, second annual, coming up on August 31st. And it's going to be an official iRacing event.
And it's going to be broadcast on ETV Live, and that's August 31st at 2200 UTC, which ends up being 6 o'clock East Coast, 3 o'clock in the evening, 6 p.m. East Coast, 3 o'clock on the West Coast. We picked a time, hopefully, to make it for everyone. Turns out it's like 8 o'clock on the 1st for the Australians.
Yep.
So hopefully we picked a time that is as international as possible for this one.
Yep. Open to all iRacers that have a current membership. You only need the car that you're going to drive, so you don't need and the track, which is Watkins Glen. We're going to run the Classic Boot and 120 minutes, so it's going to be a 2-hour race. 3 car classes. We've got the Riley Daytona Prototype, the McLaren MP4-12C, and the Cadillac CTS VR. And we're going to start practice sessions on the Monday before. Mm-hmm. So whenever the normal week shifts in the iRacing schedule, that's when our servers are going to come up. Practice and qualifying sessions will be running all the time. Qualifying will be on the hour. Practice will be 24/7. And let's talk about some prizes.
And before we get to that prize list, we should tell you what you're going to need to do to be eligible to win a prize. And that starts with going to our forum and registering. You don't have to register to run in the event. But if you want to be eligible for a prize, you need to register in our forum, declare your class, and that way we can start knowing the split of the fields and all that, and know everybody who's registered to win.
By race date. So if you register at our forums after race date, you're not going to be eligible for a prize. And it's not that big a deal. Just register.
Yeah.
Write your name in the car class that you're going to run, and you're in as far as winning a prize. That's step one.
Step one. Step two is finishing the race incident-free and within 1 lap of the leader of your independent race.
That's right. Now, there are exceptions to the rule with the incidents. Occasionally there's circumstances that you may get a one-times or something that you didn't cause anything, and it's questionable. If you feel that your incident did not warrant a incident point, get a hold of us and we'll try to work with you. But understand there's going to be a lot of people entering this race. I think for March on Michigan, we had over 100 people eligible for prizes.
Yeah.
So we're going to have lots of people. You just finish without incident on the lead lap of your class. That's the other criteria.
Right.
And you'll be eligible for a prize.
That's not an easy task, by the way.
No, it's not. 2 hours of racing. So we got to narrow down that who's eligible.
Yeah. Now let's get to some of the prizes. And like we said, we have a huge list of incredible prizes. Starting off, we have a Fanatic CSL rig that's going to go to somebody, one of our lucky incident-free finishers.
That's right. Next, a Grandstand wheel stand worth $225. Followed by a Sim Instruments Dash that's worth 160 Australian dollars.
We've got a couple of Tamiya models. We've got the Mazda 787B as well as the McLaren M8, which are both kind of cars that kind of coincide with this event slightly.
That's right. We have 2 licenses, or 2 SimVibe licenses that are worth about $90 each. And we also have a Derek Spear Designs Track Boss button box.
Main Performance PC is going to put up a solid-state hard drive. And in addition to that, we will have 2 one-year license codes to IGP Manager worth $29.99 each.
Also going to have Butt Kicker has committed to a prize. We're not sure
Yeah.
exactly what, but we're assuming at least a Butt Kicker.
Yeah.
And then we've talked to Thrustmaster, but they haven't committed to a prize yet, but we're hoping to have something on board for them as well. So lots of great prizes. Again, all you got to do, finish on the lead lap in class, finish without incident, and register in our forums. It's going to be an awesome race, man. I can't wait.
It is. I am really looking forward to this event, and for me it's about redemption, because last year maybe represents one of the races that I have practiced the most for and had the least amount of seat time during the race ever in the history of my racing career.
Yeah, that was a frustrating start. We're making sure that the grids are going to be set properly. Qualifying is going to be by qualifying time, not iRating. So that's the way it's supposed to be set up. So whatever your qualifying time is for per class, that's where you're going to qualify in the race. And then it's going to be gridded by iRating. We're going to have 2 different splits or 2 different sets. Pro or C through Pro and Rookie and D will be running separate. Rookie and D will get 1 reset. Pro through C or C through Pro gets no resets. So hope you guys join us. Looking forward to that race, and thanks iRacing for putting on. Thanks ETV Live for broadcasting it for us, and thanks to all these awesome sponsors for putting up prizes.
Do you know what class you're going to run yet?
I already told you I said in the last thing,
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
in the last show.
Last show. You're still going to stick to it. Daytona prototype?
Yeah.
And I'm going to run to the McLaren.
Are you?
I'm running the McLaren.
Hey, Cadillac drivers, we added the Cadillac, and so far only 2 people signed up. Get in there. We need some Cadillac drivers. So that's going to wrap up this month Inside Sim Racing. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. We'll have another show before the end of the month. Talk about the race again to remind you that the race is coming, and hopefully we'll have some great stuff to talk about in that show. Hopefully you've enjoyed this one. For Sean Cole, I'm Darren Ganji. We'll see you guys next time. On the Rileys, we're coming up on the Rileys. Easy guys, lots of traffic. I'll take it easy on these caddies. Oh, geez.